Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to another episode of Intro to Web Development. I'm your host, Creative Builds. In the last episode, we added an ID to our title tag and tweaked the page up a bit by changing the background and text color. We also talked about margins and how it pushes your content from above and from the side to give space in between or around elements. This time we'll be tackling the idea of adding new content to the page and how to center it, which will eventually help us lead into modern web design. So let's get started. Swap over to the index.html file, and the first thing to do is use a div tag to act as a container for HTML elements, which we will use with CSS to help center those elements on our screen. Wrap the h1 in a new div tag. Divs are the building blocks for websites. They have a lot of different uses, but by default you can think of them as an invisible box that contains all the content listed inside of it. Next, we're going to add a class to the div. Classes are like IDs in a sense, but where an ID is a unique identifier and is used on a single element, classes are multi-element and have no limit on how many times you can use that class. That allows us to easily reuse the same style across multiple different components. To get started, type in div class equals center. This tells the browser to apply any CSS that matches the class of center to this div. What we're going to do now is add a paragraph or p tag right after our heading. Simply put in this opening the p tag, then some text. I'll say hosted by Creative Builds, and then close it with /p. While I'm at it, I'm going to change the hello world text to be intro to web development. On this next line, we'll use an image tag. The image tag is used to embed a still or animated image in the web page. It creates a space for the referenced image and has two major attributes: source, which specifies the path to an image, and alt, which is metadata or information that may not be shown to the user but is picked up in search engines. Think of it like the title of an image or what it contains. This helps out with something called SEO or search engine optimization, but that's a ways off for today's episode. In this case, let's type in image ID equals logo, source we'll set to logo.png, and alt we'll set to Creative Builds logo. Now the image we're using here is way too big by default, so we want to make it smaller. Let's jump into our CSS script and work on that. Under the title ID, we'll write #logo for the ID we used in the HTML script. Then we input the sizes that we want. We'll say width is 100 pixels and so is height. To make it into a circle though, we need to use a border radius. The border radius CSS property rounds the corners of an element's outer border edge. In our case, let's try putting in border radius 50% and see what happens. So we can see what happens is that it basically takes a square image and then changes the radius to be 50% on all corners, which rounds out the hard edges and essentially makes it a circle. Let's also pretty up our paragraph tag a little bit. Because we didn't apply a class or an ID to our p tag, we have to change how we edit its CSS. You can reference all paragraph tags at once just by using the letter P, just like we did for body. This is good if you want to apply a basic style to all paragraph tags, such as changing the color, weight, or removing built-in styles like margin. Mess around with the CSS how you want, but for now, I'm going to copy the color we have from our title, make the font weight bold to increase the thickness of the text, and get rid of any margin on top of the element. Now moving on to the next segment of this episode, we'll be talking about centering. An easy way to help modernize your web page is by centering your content on the screen. You can see this in almost every website, and you usually don't think about it because you're so used to seeing modern websites the way that they are. Twitter or Instagram is a really good example of this. They use a feed for their content and center it in the screen, making it the main thing your eyes gravitate to, grabbing your attention. That's why earlier this episode, we took the title and the image and wrapped them with the div tag. Now let's tie into that class that we added to the div tag. Do so by adding a period instead of a hashtag, as if you remember, hashtags are for IDs or unique elements, whereas periods designate a class. Classes, like IDs, can be named whatever you want so long as you have the same name in HTML as you do CSS. Put in your curly brackets and we're ready to get styling. First, we need to make the element as wide and as tall as our screen in order to center things on our monitors. To start, type in width 100 VW. VW stands for viewport width, and it's the width in pixels of the user's screen. This line tells the page to make the center expand all the way across the screen horizontally. Now let's say height 100 VH. Here we're doing the same thing. 100 VH or viewport height will expand our element to be as tall as the viewport and thus take up the full view of the screen. Here we set display to be flex, and display is like altering how an HTML node or tag works. It changes the underlying behavior. Setting it to flex allows us to easily center our content and use these next properties. First is justify content center. It aligns the items along the main direction of the current orientation of the container. By default, the orientation or direction is horizontal, which is also known as row. This will make elements show up side by side. So that will center our content horizontally in the middle of the screen, but we still need vertical centering. To do that, we use align item center. This will align the items in the alternate orientation, so in this case, vertical. Lastly, we make use of flex direction column. The main reason we use flex direction column is to make the default horizontal arrangement become vertical, so now our items are stacked on top of each other instead of side by side. Let's move on over to our browser and check out the changes that we've made so far. And that's where we stop for today. To sum up what we did in this video, we added a static logo to our web page, adjusted the height, and rounded the edges to make it look more like a circle. Then we learned how to center the content in our site by using divs and flex properties. I want you to look forward to the next episode, so here's a little info. It'll be all about user interactions. Feel free to research buttons and other elements ahead of the next episode, and then check back in for a progress review. I hope you enjoyed and learned from this video. Stay tuned for more, and don't forget to join our community by subscribing or joining the Discord linked below. Until the next episode, keep learning, keep coding. New tutorials come out at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday and Wednesday, with devlogs same time on Friday.